this is what you should see, something like this, right?
Hold on, let me go back to yours 1 second. Okay, something like what?
Like this pattern right here on my screen.
Okay.
You see that?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at, kind of.
Okay, all right. So anytime we're doing some trades or we're trying to figure out what we're gonna do, we're gonna click on this right-hand corner, and that's gonna open up our watch list, right? And then once our watch list is open, we'll be able to cycle through whatever we have under whatever section we've set up to follow what the actual asset is at that time, right? So this right here is the dollar index, okay? The reason why I had you add the dollar index is because the dollar is basically going to give you a heads up on what crypto is doing. So anytime I'm trying to figure out what Bitcoin is going to do, I always come over and I go to the dollar index because it has a 70% inverse correlation, which basically means when Bitcoin goes up, 70% of the time, the dollar index goes down. When the dollar index goes up, 70% of the time, Bitcoin goes down, right? So it's just a hedge to help you figure out if you're in the right trade at the right time, right? So I always want to look at the dollar index. Me just looking at it right now, dollar index looks blown out. Looks like it's gonna dump. I'll be teaching you these patterns as time goes on, so you'll be able to just look at it and instantly see a pattern and figure out what's going to transpire. In trading, right, you're never going to be right 100% of the time. Anybody who always acts like they're always winning, like they're just blowing smoke, because no one wins 100% of the time. Basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to get an edge, right? You're trying to get probabilities and increase like your percentages on just having like a winning trade, you know? So that's the overall goal, is to make it so the percentages are in your favor and not the house's favor, right? So just looking at this, I see three things, right? And the three things that I see is going to be considered three levels of confluence. So what I'm going to be teaching you, and you'll be able to do this on any type of asset, is where price is going to go. And not only am I going to teach you where price is going to go, I'm going to teach you exactly at what price point you can expect price to go to. So that's the key, right? It's easy to get in the trade and have the trade go in your favor, but the hardest thing that you're going to encounter is like, when do I get out, right? Because if you don't know when to get out, then you don't know if you're making a mistake by jumping out too soon. You don't know if it's going to keep pumping. You don't know if you're getting out at the absolute like perfect time. So you need an indication. And if you have an indication, that's essentially going to allow you to project. And if you're able to project, if you're able to visualize or figure out where price is going to go, then you can capitalize on that and make money, right? So when I said three levels of confluence, I told you about this bear flag right here.
Well, yeah, well, 1 second. Let me write down something real quick that you said.
Yeah, no problem.
DXY is a dollar.
Yeah, dollar index.
Bitcoin does the opposite of what that does, right?
Yep, by a 70% difference.
70% of the time?
Yeah, 70% of the time, the inverse will play out.
Cool. All right.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So and then like, yeah, and like I'm gonna just be running over these patterns really quick. So like you don't really have to worry about memorizing them or like, but it's just gonna be just planting seeds, right? So you can be like, oh yeah, I heard you say that before. And then once we go over the patterns in detail, because we'll spend time going over each one to make sure that you get it, then you'll be able to just like, oh, okay, that's what he meant. That's what that is. And then I'm going to be quizzing you and be like, okay, bro, what is this? What do you see? You know, and then we'll just build it. All right. Cool. So bear flag, that's bearish. Anytime you think of price going down, think of a bear, that's bearish. Bearish means price is gonna go to the downside, right? So this measured move on this bear flag is telling me that the dollar index is going to come down to 101.022. So if you follow my Instagram story that I posted yesterday, I believe, I had this right here, and I was just like, dollar index about to coming down to 1014, right? And then you see price like messed around here, and then this morning it just dumped basically right to my move, right? And I posted that way over here before any of this happened. Like I'm not a magician, I'm not psychic. Like, how did I figure that out, right? But if you can figure that out, you can get rich, because you can say, oh snap, that's gonna go from here to here. This move is 7%, you know, almost 1%. If I do a 20x leverage, that's 20%. You do 2 trades a day, that's 40% a day on your money. You know what I'm saying? So like if you're doing a 10 grand trade, you just made $20,000 in one, you know, I mean, $2,000 in one trade. So that's basically what the goal is. And then the other pattern that I saw, that I see, excuse me, is this head and shoulders. So we'll go over the head and shoulders. Boom, boom, boom. And this is also bearish. So that's given me additional confluence to price coming down. And then I see the EMAs tilted, you know, toward 4 or 5 o'clock. And we'll go over those as well. So that way you'll know what those are. Probably our next lesson, I'm going to have you add certain things to your actual chart. So then that way your chart it actually has structure and you can see where price is going, right? So whenever I get like 3 to 5 levels of confluence, that gives me conviction that the trade's going to play out. So those three things that I told you, the head and shoulders, the bear flag, the EMA's going down, I think the dollar index is going to come down more to this 109, you know, 102 region. Now, the reason why that's good is because we just went over the inverse relationship between Bitcoin and the dollar index, right? So if this is going to be dumping, what do you think Bitcoin's going to do?
It's going to be going up.
Exactly, 100%. So most of the cryptos, I would say probably over 85, 90% of cryptos, altcoins that are not Bitcoin or Ethereum, they all follow what Bitcoin is doing. So if Bitcoin is going to pump, then I already know coming into the game, like, all right, cool. I know there's a high probability Bitcoin's going to pump because the dollar index is going to dump. So now let me look at what trades I'm going to get into, because that's going to help me like figure out, you know, if I should be going long or short, and like kind of how to prepare myself before I go into battle, right?
Okay.
So like a lot of people just jump in and then they don't have a game plan, then they can't figure out why they're just getting slaughtered like as soon as they, you know, jump in the game. So this will at least teach you like a strategy or a little bit of like direction as far as how you structure your morning when you're about to get into a trade, right?